flourishing really is rooted in the felt safety that children feel, not just within a home, but within that parent-child relationship.
Flourishing is wholeness. And I also think of fullness. A passage from Colossians come to mind where Paul's talking about in Jesus, all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell. And then a little later on, he says, and you have been filled in him. And so I think when we are flourishing, we have the fullness of God in us.
We see throughout the fabric of Scripture God's heart and Jesus' heart for the vulnerable, for widows and for orphans. And so we know through Scripture as almost a mandate, as you care for the least of these, that at some level we become the hands and feet of Jesus Christ.
What flourishing looks like in everyday life for someone who's vulnerable is such an interesting thought, because vulnerable and flourishing, they're opposites. Vulnerable is helpless, and vulnerable is struggling. If you are vulnerable, you're not flourishing, and if you're flourishing, you're no longer vulnerable. So what does it take to get somebody from vulnerable to flourishing? Is people. It's connection. Nobody walks out into the garden in the middle of April and says, look at this gorgeous tomato. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen until somebody has tended the soil, until somebody has nurtured the plants, until somebody has protected it from the pests. It takes time. But nobody just shows up one day and is flourishing. They only flourish after somebody has fed into their life and worked with them and loved them.
Flourishing would be having a place to call home. It would be a family to love you. It would be basically a safe place. I think back to our 17-year-old mom that lived with us. And when she came to us, she was not flourishing. She was struggling. And when she left us 9 months later, she left with a high school diploma, her driver's license, and the rights to her child. And so what that looked like, how we got her there, was a whole lot of support.
And so when I think about the people that work here, the foster parents we have, the host homes, the mentors, volunteers, financial partners, all the people who make Christian Heritage work, we're doing it together. And we have people from different churches and denominations and people coming from different parts of the country say, I want to be a part of this. We want to change outcomes for children who are in foster care, because we know that life is hard when you enter foster care. We want to help children stay out of foster care so that they don't have to experience the trauma of being removed from their parents. And we're doing it as a gospel-centered organization. And these are things that haven't been done in the history of Nebraska. And we're trying to do that. What's more exciting than doing something that's never been done?